Hello and good day to all of you. I'm Vikram Kamath, and I'm very happy to have all of you with us on the very first episode of Talent Management Insights. Our guest on this episode is an industry veteran with over 36 years of corporate experience in areas such as sales and operations, leadership, and organizational transformation. He has worked extensively in the IT and manufacturing domain as a consultant, he has worked with clients across IT, finance, banking and insurance, manufacturing, government, and the hospitality sector. He's a global Indian who has lived and worked in Singapore, US, and Canada, in addition to having traveled across 25 different countries. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Anand Pillai, the Managing Director of Leadership Matters.
Thank you, Vikram. That is so nice. Yes.
And I think Anand and I will be discussing on the Great Resignation. I think this is something which is widely being discussed and debated in the HR and talent management circles. Depending on which side of the table we are on, we're sitting. As a talent, it presents great opportunities. As a hiring manager, it presents various challenges. Anand, would you like to say anything on this topic before we get into
the topic is very exciting. It's a hot button, if you ask me. A lot of people are putting various twists and turns to this great resignation, the great attrition, and so on. So I'm glad you picked on this topic. It's a wonderful topic. It's a pain area or a need area. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for organizations to reinvent themselves in and through this great resignation if they ask the key questions and also do the right things.
Correct. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying it's a key turning point where it's a chance for us to reinvent ourselves, transform organizations. And you mentioned about asking those few key questions. So I think what would some of these be in terms of?
Yeah, before I come to the key questions that the organization should be asking, we can take this conversation in two angles. One is from the recruiter side, which is what we will come to, as I told you later on. But at the same time, the recruitee also has to be prepared for this entire dilemma or entire situation. And that's the reason why we always, think we are asking the right questions. But most of the time, at least the first question or the first few questions are really not what I would call probing questions, but they are all time pass questions or a filler question. And the first question in any interview is, tell me more about yourself.
I think this is a question which, from time immemorial, everyone who's faced an interview, this is what one prepares for in the beginning, I think, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. But let me tell you one thing, two things. One is, not many people know how to ask that question in a manner to elicit the right response, A, that is from the recruiter side, and B, not many candidates know how to answer that question in all its earnestness. Because the question that is being asked really is, I've got this job in mind, or I've got this position for which I'm recruiting. Tell me more about you, Vikram, that I can decide whether you are the right candidate. Those are the series of questions that they're supposed to be asking. But they don't ask that question. They just say, tell me more about yourself, expecting the candidate to have that sixth sense of finding out what the JD is and so on.
Because I think this is a question whose time has come, because I think in this time and age, it's no longer about the talent trying to sell himself or herself to the organization. I think the onus is on us as the hiring manager, as talent management professionals. How do we find the right person for the job? How do we uncover talent and I think bring in those key people into the organization? So I think it's interesting the way you look at it. Yeah. And when one looks at hiring, I think the usual culprit is attrition. But I think if one looks at hiring, there are various drivers to this. And if one may say, one size does not fit all. So, I mean, what is your view on the various drivers and how one should be approaching these?
Very good, Vikram. See, we need to understand why are we recruiting or what are we recruiting for? A particular position has become vacant or a particular role has become vacant. So we need to structure our questions in such a manner that we get the right candidate. For us to get the right candidate, first of all, that question which we always ask is the wrong question, as I told you. And before I get to the meaning part of it, I want to ask you one question, reverse. Supposing you get the answer wrong, or the candidate does not answer what he or she should answer. Tell me more about yourself. Now, the question that I want to ask you, Vikram, is who is the biggest loser when the candidate does not answer or give the, within quotes, correct answer? Who's the biggest loser?
I think I mean, the organization or the hiring manager is the biggest loser here because
I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised because invariably, whenever I ask people this question, when there is a wrong answer, when there is an inappropriate answer, the conclusion that people come to is the candidate is the loser. No, the candidate is not the loser.
Correct.
It is the organization that is the loser because they had the opportunity to judge a particular candidate. They asked the question in a wrong manner, expecting the candidate to have the sixth sense. So that catch is going to be a problem. Now, for us to meaningfully address that, let us go to the drivers. So if you look at it, the way I look at a situation, when I go for the interview table to hire a particular person, I know that I'm hiring because of the ventilation or the job that has become open through 5 drivers. And what are those 5 drivers? Let me quickly recap. And based on that, we will structure our interview call. The first one in most organizations, depending on in no particular order, could be attrition. There is attrition, and today the Great Resignation drive is going through that. So people have left, and therefore the position has become vacant. Now I need to hire a person. The second one is because of business growth. Okay, so the company grows. They opened up a new office, they opened up a new product line, they opened up a new service line, so on. So there is a business growth. The third one is possibly a career transition or a career migration, an internal job posting. Somebody within the organization has moved up the value chain or moved laterally, whatever, and therefore the position has become vacant. The fourth one is because of superannuation. I mean, superannuation, people have a retirement. Position has become vacant. And the fifth one is because of a problem that the organization is going through or a business transformation that they want to get into. And therefore, they need a person, a crack guy, to come and fill in that particular or address that particular problem. Now, let us look at all the 5 and see where the recruiter is going wrong. Or what is the common errors that the recruiter is going to be falling into a trap. Quite strangely, irrespective of where the position has got opened, they will have a standard set of questions.
Correct.
So let us take the first situation, and the first situation is attrition. Now, when there is attrition, so let us say I'm recruiting a person, because Vikram left the organization. Now, my problem is, in my mind, I am looking for a Vikram clone. And constantly, I am saying, this person is not as smiling as that, or this person is not as good as that, or I'm expecting the person not to have the problems that the person who left the organization had.
Correct.
So, in a large sense, the mistake that I tend to be making is I am trying to fit that new candidate into this old position that the person left. Now, supposing there is an emotional connect, then it's great. You tend to wipe. But supposing there is no emotional connect, you have a problem. So the candidate, poor guy, he doesn't know. I mean, he cannot do the groundwork, who this character was, what was his problems in life that the guy left, so that I don't become, a solution to the candidate who left. So that can be a problem. Now, the second one is business growth. Now, business
Mm-hmm.
growth, if you look at it, the organization is opening up a new product line, a new service line, a new geography, or whatever. They are expanding their business.
Mm-hmm.
For this particular candidate, he or she will not really be in a position to fit in that bill until and unless he has handled that responsibility. But even if he has
Correct.
handled that responsibility, his or her cultural amalgamation is going to be a big issue,
Correct.
because the organization is going through the business growth. They're not
Mm-hmm.
expecting the person to come and get productive 5 months down the line or 6 months
Mm-hmm.
down the line. They expect the person to be getting to be productive day one.
Mm-hmm.
While the new candidate may be a good candidate, may have all the required competencies to get the business done, there is a lot of cultural amalgamation. There is an
Mm-hmm.
onboarding that is necessary. He or she
Mm-hmm.
has to work with the various stakeholders, and we need to judge those qualities. Let
Mm-hmm.
us take grow attrition, superannuation. Now, even in
Superannuation. Yeah.
superannuation is, in my opinion, getting a person for a position that has been superannuated is, in one sense, the most difficult one. The
Mm-hmm.
reason for that is that particular person who has left the organization, chances are he or she has worked in the organization for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, in some
Yeah.
organization, 25 years. So he
Mm-hmm.
or she has learned the unwritten rules of the game. He or
Correct.
she has really known the ways of working of the organization. Now, this new candidate, poor guy, I mean, he doesn't know the culture, he doesn't know the informal equations that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And as good as he is or she is, they will not be able to really fit in,
Correct.
because there there is that niceties of the human element
Yeah, I think
that
a
is
person who superannuates out is more often than not an institution in himself. I mean,
absolutely.
themselves. It's not just a JD or a role. I mean, that person has
No
been
way,
there
no
for
way. In
more
fact,
than
the
a,
person has become
yeah.
a legend. He or she has gone beyond a JD, gone beyond a role, beyond a title. While they are having a particular title, they have
Mm-hmm.
gone beyond that. They end up doing a lot more things, largely because
Correct.
they know the organization and informally they're doing that. So we looked at attrition.
Yes.
There is a challenge because we want a clone. We looked at business growth. There
Business
is a
growth.
problem because this guy has to come in and understand the organization. And the third one, superannuation, is a situation that we have where
Highly
this person
challenging.
is having a really embedded or long become your. I like the word that you use. He or she has become a legend in that organization. They've become beyond the thing. The fourth one is when there is a business problem that they need to
Mm-hmm.
address. They need to address that business problem. Now, as Albert Einstein said, a significant amount of the problems cannot be solved with the very person who created them,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
the very system that he created them. So here is a situation where there is a business problem and they want to address that business problem. They don't know what it is. This new candidate thinks he knows what it is. And, they try to come and fix. So there is a kind of a mismatch there. And the fifth one is when a person, and the reason why I put the fifth one, the last, is when there is an internal movement. So I
Mm-hmm.
moved into another role. And when I moved into another role, the earlier role that I was playing has become vacant. Now you need
Mm-hmm.
to recruit a person for that. The reason why this, in my opinion, is a very big challenge, because in this situation, the person who has moved on to a new role, he or she is performing the old role either formally or informally.
Correct.
They tend to be doing that. Now, it
Yeah.
is an unfair ask for the new candidate to come in and really do what this person is informally continuing to control in the organization. I'll give you
Correct.
a simple example. When and I'll, in each one of them, I'll give you an example. In this case, many years ago, in the year 1996, 97, I got recruited with Bay Networks as the country manager. Now, obviously, it was not a new position. There was an earlier country manager, and that country
Mm-hmm.
manager moved in the same physical office to another software development center. So And all the earlier people were reporting to him. And I came in on board. When I came on board, I'm a brand new country manager. And I am supposed to do these deliverables. But the people there, they had an informal equation with this earlier country manager who was, the next cabin or one cabin away.
Yeah,
And all
yeah,
of them were relating. And he also was trying to pass admin and, get to work
yeah.
out.
I think that relationship, that lag effect is always there. So yeah,
There was no umbilical cord cut.
yeah,
And, I came in and I said, wait a minute, this is a decision that I should be taking. I mean, it's a simple
hmm,
thing like changing the reception table or changing this. I mean, he used to do almost every thing. Uh, I said, wait a minute, there is something wrong here. I mean, either you do my job or I do my job.
yeah.
you know. So then he said, no, 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 I'm sorry. He would say that, and then it would go on. And it was a very difficult thing. In my opinion, that particular situation could have been handled better if
Correct.
they did a severance or a
Yeah.
umbilical cord cut. Listen, this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing, and so on. But I come back to the problem. The problem was when they recruited, they did not recruit a replacement. They
Hmm,
recruited a position to be filled and allow that person to fight the battles.
hmm.
Now, whether you're a junior person, entry level person, mid level person, or senior person, each one will have to be onboarded properly. So, in large amount of the situations, the candidate gets to be a misfit because they are not being hired purposefully.
Yeah.
About that, all that, and particularly the business problem situation, we know that 90% of the time we are hiring for positions for which the job is not yet being articulated the way we want it to be articulated.
Correct.
Because the jobs are evolving, the positions
Hmm.
are evolving, the roles are evolving.
Correct.
I mean, for example, when I was in HCL Technologies, I earlier moved from a sales and marketing background, from an
Hmm,
operations background into HR, because the
hmm.
company came out with this big business transformation, employees first, customers second. And they said, listen, this is a people initiative and we want a person to drive this. So I came in and I did that role as a marketing person, as a salesperson, as an operations person, and as a
Hmm,
HR person.
hmm.
But I was glad that I was given the freedom and a lot of hand holding in the beginning for 1 or 2 days was done in terms of just getting me into the system. And
Hmm.
that's the key. Why is it that people with 10, 15 years of experience in an organization are suddenly leaving?
Hmm.
They're leaving because we are not able to handle the resignation drama. So we are having a situation where the new person is coming at a higher salary, at a higher level than a
Correct.
person who's been loyal for years. So we are
Yes.
sending a wrong message into the system.
Hmm, hmm.
We are also going to revisit, or we have to revisit our build versus buy whenever a position opens up in any one of these five categories, whether it is attrition or business growth or superannuation or career movement or business transformation. We need
Hmm.
to first look within. And a large number of organizations have what is known as a 60% ready or a 70% ready philosophy. And what is
Hmm.
that? Okay, a new position has opened up. There are other people within the organization. They know the culture, they've been onboarded, they know the unwritten rules of the game.
Hmm.
Can we not get them into that particular role, even if they are 50, I mean, 60, 70% ready?
Hmm.
And then let them, move up the value chain. So rather
Hmm.
than hiring,
Hmm.
we need to look at grooming.
Hmm.
And if that grooming mentality is there, then in the event of we hiring also, we tend to give that person the required
Hmm.
support to succeed in the system. Getting the right candidate, then glibly hiring the wrong candidate who's just available or who seems to click in that 15, 20 minutes of the interview and then live with them forever. And I
Correct.
equate this to marriage. And
Yeah.
that marriage is it is better to spend 5 years less with the right person than to spend a whole of eternity with the wrong
The
person.
wrong person. Yes. I
So
think that
people
that's a
need to
very,
do that due diligence.
yeah, yeah. I think it's really great, Anand, that you've been able to distill your decades of experience into these few key points. And I mean, right from those typical wrong questions which we ask in the interview to the five key drivers for hiring, as well as the fact that we as organizations, I mean, as leaders, we should be planning for the hiring which happens and trying to plan differently for each of these five different types of hirings. I think, and like you mentioned, tracking those early warning signals to see which employee is disengaged. I think these are all gems which you've shared with us. And I'd like to thank you again for your time on this discussion. And I cannot underscore the relevance of all that you have shared today. And I look forward to many more discussions with you.